Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Flash flood watch still in effect for eastern parishes. Doctors stage Sickout at Port Maria Hospital. And later in sports, several former champions in action in schoolboy football competition today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. The flash flood watch remains in effect for low-lying and flood-prone areas of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew and St. Catherine. Checks by our newsroom from correspondents in St. Thomas, St. Mary and Portland indicate that it has been mainly overcast. In St. Thomas, however, there have been reports of rain in some sections of a parish. The Met Service says the flash flood watch will remain in effect until 5 today. It has been imposed due to a broad trough located across the Central Caribbean, which is producing a large area of cloudiness with showers and thunderstorms. And the flash flood watch is of particular concern to an elderly Portland resident after Monday's earthquake badly damaged a section of his home in Orange Bay. Ralston Wilkes told TVJ News he had to borrow a tarpaulin just to keep cover over his head and hasn't been able to get a good night's sleep since then. He was preparing breakfast for himself and his 3-year-old granddaughter when the quake struck.
I just feel the place just start vibrate and I push out my granddaughter outside and by the time me come at the doorway, right, I feel something lick on my neck back so I step out the door and when me step out the door, by the time I step out the door at the house, I see over there lay down again. If me can get a 2-room built up with a little veranda or if this can repair, I will welcome.
In the meantime, farmers in Hagley's Gap, St. Thomas are on edge as the main road to their farms remained blocked. The road was left impassable after rock falls and landslides during Monday's earthquake. But residents say no sooner had it been cleared than aftershocks on Tuesday caused more landslides once again, blocking the thoroughfare. They're worried they won't be able to get to their farms in time to reap coffee before they spoil. Now, our correspondent is in the area and we'll have more details in primetime news at 7. And public dental surgeons who are restive over their remuneration under the new compensation scheme have taken their protest to the streets. Our reporter Jamaica Maitland, who is on the scene, has an update.
Thanks, Shane. Now, dental surgeons from across the island were right here outside the Transformation Implementation Unit on Saxthorpe Avenue, where they were protesting about some of their working conditions. Now, they were in a meeting just now with some of the members of the Ministry of Finance, and they have a few issues that they wanted to talk about. Among them is the retention and attraction of dental surgeons, discrepancy in compensation, dental intern responsibility, traveling allowance integration, among others. Now, following the meeting, we spoke with the trade unionist who's representing them. That's UK's Mr. Vincent Morrison, who says that they feel as if, they are making some headways. Now, the group would have left here and they're going to the National Heroes Circle to protest outside the Ministry of Finance. And following that, they said they're going to the Ministry of Health. Now, we're going to make our way down to the National Heroes Circle to see what the atmosphere is like. Reporting from outside the Transformation Implementation Unit here on Saxthorpe Avenue, I'm Jamaica Maitland. It's back to you in studio.
Thanks, Jamaica. To a developing story now. All is not well at the Port Maria Hospital in St. Mary. The facility is experiencing a shortage of doctors and the impact is severe. Our reporter Giovanni Dennis is here with the latest.
Thanks so much, Shane. Well, the problem, as we understand it, stems from a serious shortage of doctors at the hospital. Now, TVJ sources say the understaffing has been made worse because several doctors are unavailable because they are on study leave. Now, this has left less than 5 doctors or numbers say as low as 3 doctors having to work excessively long hours to handle patient care at the institution. Now, our sources say there are concerns about the mental and physical stress this has put on the doctors. We understand that 2 doctors called in sick today and the 3rd doctor had already been on duty for nearly 24 hours. In addition, we understand there is mounting frustration and anger at the regional health authorities' delay in assigning more doctors to the hospital to help solve the problem. Now, our sources Sources say there have been complaints about the serious understaffing for several months now, and nothing has been done. Now, we tried getting word from the senior medical officer of the hospital, Dr. Sidney Powell, but we were unsuccessful. Now, our St. Mary correspondent is currently on the ground gathering information. Of course, we'll provide that update in later newscasts. But in the meantime, our news team did speak with the opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy.
I'm calling on the region, I'm calling on the minister to address this as expeditiously as possible. It is not that there's a shortage of doctors in the country. There are doctors who are awaiting contracts from the government. I know as a fact that doctors have applied prior to this 2 weeks ago and have not been called for interview and are still awaiting jobs. So the fact is that the ministry needs to act with greater alacrity. You cannot afford for the suffering people of this country to continue to suffer more because of ineptitude.
Now, Dr. Guy says the country's health sector is not being run efficiently. His comment comes as the 40-hour work week for doctors, which was announced by the Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, is to begin today.
One would have expected that good sense would have sought to have the doctors in place prior to this. The country, quite frankly, the health system is being run on a reactive basis. You have to plan things and have them working properly before you can implement new measures. Now, it is why I say it is reactive, because now that the doctors have gone and, have called in sick, that the government, the ministry, the region, they are going to rush now like chicken without heads, running around trying to find doctors to fill the vacancy. And it lays squarely at the feet of the minister.
Now, of course, we'll continue tracking this story, and we'll have more on this developing story in Primetime News. But for now, Shane, it's back to you.
Thanks, Giovanni. Now it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Citizens affected by mining will soon be able to make real-time digital complaints to the Ministry of Mining and its agencies. This is in response to complaints that the current process is difficult and challenging. Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Floyd Green made the announcement at today's post-cabinet press briefing.
To raise concerns, issues when they do have challenges with ongoing mining activities. We want to make that much easier. And as such, we've been working with our partners at the EU, and we're developing a mobile application on conflict management for our mining sector. In fact, this mobile application will allow citizens to report grievances and issues from the adverse effects caused by mining and quarrying activities, and it will also help to frame problems reported in a structured and systematic framework.
He says the application will be launched in the coming weeks.
We are planning to have a launch towards the end of this month, or definitely early December, first week of December. The application is finished. We're now going through our testing phase. So we do expect to launch. So once we go live, we will share all the information. We will have a launch event. And again, it is really listening to the concerns of our citizens about finding a more accountable and transparent way for them to raise issues that they're having, and also to be able to track resolution. We think that's very, very important.
Meanwhile, Mr. Green says despite the challenges, there will be sufficient produce for the Christmas season.
We do have some of the most resilient farmers in the world, and I know a lot of them, once they started to see some rainfall, a lot of them are already out in the field, pull it together to get the produce that we're looking for the Christmas season. The good thing with our vegetable lines is that a number of them are 6-week turnarounds. So if our farmers are out in the field now, we can expect that come mid-December, we will have greater levels of production.
He further noted that farmers will be getting aid to get crops ready for the Christmas season.
What I want to assure our farmers is that we're not going to leave them alone. We are looking to roll out additionally a fertilizer program to help our farmers directly. We have gotten some strong support from our friends in Morocco, and I want to use this opportunity to thank the people and the government and the Kingdom of Morocco. So our farmers can look forward to some support over the month of November, going into December, of direct support in relation to fertilizer, especially our vegetable line farmers.
More road projects are underway under the Andrew Holness-led administration, but it's not smooth sailing in terms of timeline for completion. It was one of the topics discussed at a recent JLP constituency conference in South St. James. Sandra Williams reports.
Several road improvement projects have been actioned under the Jamaica Labour Party JLP since Andrew Holness took the reins of government. However, the lengthy deadlines for some of the projects have been a concern not only among citizens but the opposition. For the JLP leader, the complaints result from their inability to see the bigger picture.
People just say, boy, we are build road, and they cost every day they cost about the road. But they're not seeing the strategy.
He explains the goal is to create economic zones across the country.
So when we build the road and make it really nice to drive on, from Bull Bay, go all the way around to Port Antonio, that becomes an economic corridor. So people don't have to drive from Port Antonio to Kingston to make a living. There is a corridor that road will create that people will work within that cluster.
Additionally, Mr. Holness says the improved road infrastructure will make vehicular commute less challenging, especially for people in rural areas. At a St. James Southern Constituency Conference on Sunday, Mr. Holness told supporters that they too will soon benefit from a road improvement project.
We have already now given the directives to NROC to determine the route and do the planning from Montpelier to connect back to Macfield.
Meanwhile, Deputy Mayor of Savlamar, Ian Miles, was welcomed to the party with open arms. Mr. Miles, who was a member of the PMP, crossed the floor during the monthly general meeting of the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation on September 17. He resigned from the PMP in July to register his objection to PMP Vice President Ian Hills being the party's choice to represent the PMP in Westmoreland Western in the next general election. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's time for the Business Minute. There could be an increase in shipping costs and delays due to drought being experienced around one of the world's main shipping routes, the Panama Canal. Officials say booking slots will be cut to 25 per day starting November 3 from an already reduced 31 per day. The Panama Canal Authority said it will be gradually reduced further over the next 3 months to 18 slots from February 1, 2024. In recent months, the authority has imposed various passage restrictions to conserve scarce water, including cutting vessel draft and daily passage authorizations. The Panama Canal Authority says water levels in Gotten Lake, the rainfall-fed principal reservoir that floats ships through the Panama Canal's lock system, have continued to decline to unprecedented levels for this time of year. The existing restrictions have resulted in long delays with tens of vessels waiting to transit the canal. Further afield, Americans are losing confidence in the economy. For the third straight month, the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index fell. It's at its second lowest level this year, landing just a hair above May's reading. According to the Conference Board, Americans are concerned about rising prices, the political situation, and higher interest rates. More than 2/3 of consumers still think a recession is somewhat or very likely, all this despite an economy that grew in the third quarter. And that's it for the Business Minute. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
This evening's health report, we look at psoriasis.
Psoriasis is not the same as eczema. Eczema is a completely different condition. What we call eczema is actually atopic eczema, which is increased sensitivity to general environmental dust, etc., etc. So eczema is basically the skin manifestation of asthma. So the same triggers that you would get, the dust mites, the animal hair, the highly scented items, those are what will trigger eczema.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Keep your skin moist. avoid scratching, get some sun, and quit smoking.
Now for the
after the Jabalia strike.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Fort will have your midday sports report.